This is Thursdays with Penny, which is my weekly opportunity to talk to an expert. And so we always do it at 12:30. We save the content and it enables myself and my expert to be able to use it, which is fantastic. And today I have Dave Hillman. Now, Dave is a member of our mastermind group. And after 5 or 6 months of spending a lot of personal time with Dave and watching him interact with the other masterminds, I feel really secure in endorsing, I suppose I'd say, acknowledging the skills of my experts and the people that I feel can really have impact on business growth. And one of the biggest subjects that I hear all the time when I talk to small or large companies is, how do I get the right talent into my organization? It's one of the riskiest things you can do. And what's been fascinating over the years is to see how LinkedIn have emerged as this fantastic tool in business, quite a disruptor in the recruitment world. And what I'm increasingly hearing from talent managers, L&D people, recruiters in organizations, is that they are needing to move back towards the traditional way of recruiting. And as someone who is a disruptor myself, as someone who loves progress, I do think that we need to rebalance the world a little bit with the experts that exist out there. And it's my greatest pleasure to introduce Dave Hillman to my network, to my community, as someone who is really phenomenally experienced and very passionate about recruitment into a particular sector. So Dave is the managing director of Blackstar Search Limited, and is a global headhunter and is specialized in the beers, wines and spirits market, looking at commercial roles globally. How can a business recruit the right people into that sector that can really help develop the business, going into different areas that means. And Dave has massive experience in this. He's been a senior marketing and sales and category manager for Diageo, which we're going to talk about in a minute, and then started his own recruitment business. He's got a global network, which is phenomenal, because if you're working with global companies, you want to be able to reach into that. And uses all the digital sourcing tools. So Dave is definitely very digital, which is a fantastic opportunity for anybody that wants to be able to blend both skills that Dave has. So really wonderful to introduce you to my community and my network, Dave. And we've known each other for 10 years or more, I think, haven't we? Yep,
we have, yeah. 15, I think.
Really, it's 15. I said 10 years or more, so I gave myself a bit of an outlet there. But yeah, of course, we met in the days of Academy and got really close. And I suppose when we first met, you were making that transition, weren't you, from working with Diageo in that incredible global role into having your own business. Tell me more about that transition and how you made that move.
Well, it was, I'd worked in the drinks industry for Diageo, or International Distillers and Vintners, as it was initially, for 9 years in various commercial roles. And I've got to say, I loved the drinks industry, but I'd always wanted to try working for myself. I wanted to build something, and I'd always had that sort of feeling that I wanted to do that, but didn't really know how to go about it. And it was a big leap in the dark, because I'd never done recruitment before, and I didn't have a very good feeling about recruiters, a lot of them that I'd spoken to.
Yeah.
But I wanted to continue working in the drinks industry with people I knew, with people I liked, with people and an industry that I loved. And I took a big gamble with Bernadette's support, my wife, because at the time we had a big mortgage and 3 teenage children, to go out on my own and try it. And that's what I did. And I joined a franchise network to really teach me to headhunt, because I knew the drinks industry. I knew how to talk to people, interview people, but I didn't know how to headhunt people. I didn't know the processes and the right ways to do it and the wrong ways to do it. And I've got to say, I'm still doing it now, more than 15 years later. I still love it. I still speak with people who are passionate about the drinks industry. and I get to work globally, which again is great, because working on the same roles all the time would get a bit boring. But I've got to say, I'm never bored. I work in beers, wines, spirits, which is a very sociable industry across the globe. And I've got partners that I work with and virtual assistants. So yeah, it's a good business model, and I love it.
Yeah, and I can imagine, I've heard from people who work with you, and getting as close as I have to you over the last 5 months, I think business, I talk about business as personal. And what I love about you is the depth of your soul and the ethics and the values you hold. And we've been through quite a journey together over the last 6 months, learning a lot about each other. I mean, you're a family man. That is so important to you, which I love. You also do amateur dramatics. I know you've just done The Railway Children, haven't you?
Yeah, that's right.
You're a great sportsman with your tennis, and I think you're just taking up golf now, aren't you?
Yeah, and badminton I play. I've given up football now.
That's incredible. And so, I really get a sense of the depth of you as a person, which I think in business, more and more, it's not just about the skills that people have and the connections. It's also about whether or not I would enjoy hanging out with this man. And that's one of the reasons I really am enjoying working with you as a person. Now, I know that the beers, wines and market and the spirits market, it is a really exciting market, I must admit. I just walk into a supermarket and I see the diversity of it. I think it's a brilliant sector for you to be specialised in. What are sort of some of the trends that are happening in that market? I'd love to understand it more.
Okay, well, there are quite a lot of trends. I mean, the spirits market particularly used to be seen as fairly traditional, but it's anything but now. The wines market as well has grown, and all sorts of things are happening, and the same with beers. I mean, I think everybody's aware of the rise of craft beers, of the again, all of the different gins that have come out, and gin is hugely popular at the moment. But I guess some of the trends that we're seeing at the moment, I mean, low alcohol and non-alcohol beers, wines, liqueurs have been around for a long time, but to be fair, it wasn't that many years ago. They weren't very good. They didn't taste very good.
Yeah.
But there's been an explosive rise in that now. Not only low alcohol, non-alcohol, but the low sugar, the natural ingredients, all of them appealing to the health conscious consumer. But the good thing about them now is the taste is a lot better. And again, it's something that people want. They want to be part of that, but possibly not consuming the amount of alcohol that they do.
Yeah.
But there are a number of other things. I mean, fruit-infused beers, spirits and cocktails. And again, you've seen that particularly with cider, but there's all sorts of others in the whole marketplace. You've got all sorts of flavours out there: peach, elderflower, orange, lime, prickly pear are just some of them. But the other thing that's also starting is cold infusions. So there are flavours that can be added to a cocktail just to make them different, to add different flavours to it.
Yeah.
And again, that I think you'll see the rise of that. And one or two of my clients are starting to add them as an additional, part of their product mix.
Yeah.
Ready to drink cocktails is another one. Again, they've exploded on the scene now. They've been around for a long time, but they were getting more of them. I'll tell you what, the next big category to watch out for in spirits, I think, is rum, dark rum, which again has traditionally been a fairly quiet category with the explosion of gin and bourbons and all sorts of things. But I think that's one to watch out for. One more before I finish.
Yeah.
The one for the future, maybe cannabis infused beer. Now, that's growing in certain parts of the world, and certainly in America, certain states, and that it is growing the acceptance of it, and also there are health benefits around it as well, but there are also addictive elements. So what they've got to get over is that, and actually make it right, because it's still illegal to sell it. But once they get that right, there are health benefits in terms of treating anxiety and insomnia and all sorts of things. So mostly it's illegal to have alcohol and cannabis in the same product, but that I think we'll see changing over the next few years. So one to watch out for,
Nice.
maybe.
Yeah, in fact, look, I've got my CBD oil here. I spit a couple of sprays before I did my interview with you.
Really? Do you need that?
No, but just to make sure that I'm not too hyperactive. And no, I'm quite in favour of it. In fact, our whole family, Hannah gave up drinking, then Thomas gave up drinking. I've never been a big drinker, but even our boys have reduced their alcohol consumption. So there's a really big millennial shift, isn't there? There's a big shift towards healthy living, which I love. I know not everybody's going that way yet, but there's definitely a shift, which I love the fact that you're so in tune with that. And I know that the candidates you find and source, you're very much seeing them as being this millennial strategic thinking, future thinking people, which I think they're hard to come by and hard to encourage into organizations sometimes, because a lot of them want to be self-employed, don't they, entrepreneurial. So I love the fact you're talking that way and understand that about your market, because I think it is a really, really important one.
But also it's attracting people from other categories as well, because there's so much happening within these categories. It's attracting people from more traditional food and fast-moving consumer goods categories as well. They've got different ideas that are coming in and really making things happen. So yeah, it's an exciting.
It is exciting because I think it provides a real vision, a future vision for people to attach their careers to, that has almost a sense of purpose around it. I know people get really curious with us when we take our non-alcoholic beers and our non-alcoholic gins and our Prosecco, the non-alcoholic Prosecco around with us, all of these things. It creates a lot of curiosity for people. I think it's so exciting that you're talking about that. So if I was a CEO of a drinks company and I was looking to grow my sales, develop new territories, improve my brand positioning, what are the sort of reasons why people are coming to you, Dave, and you're getting these extraordinary results for people?
I think what I do, and you mentioned it in the introduction, I still do headhunting in a traditional way. So I go out and find somebody who's very specifically right for a particular opportunity, who's going to fit with the culture, who's going to fit with the owner. And often if they're smaller businesses and it's a small team, that's incredibly important. And okay, I've got 30 years experience in the drinks trade, and in recruitment, I talk to people in the drinks trade every day. So I know where people are, but importantly, I know the difference between good people and not so good people. The people whose CVs actually don't, aren't them at all. That's just the way that, anybody can write the CV. That doesn't mean that they actually know what's required. So I know where these people are. I know how to find them. And I know the questions to ask to find out from the client exactly what's going to be right. So I don't waste people's time. I've also, and again, you mentioned it, got a digital mapping system, which I believe is unique in beers, wines and spirits. There are other recruiters that use it, and certainly the very biggest companies use similar systems to try and find people. But again, that gives me access to a lot of people in the market. So it's not just through LinkedIn. And a lot of people now, don't answer the recruiters on LinkedIn because they get bombarded by emails and approaches. So although that's a tool that everybody uses, it's not the only tool. And a lot of people advertise on LinkedIn as well. I don't do that. So it is still fairly traditional. But also I've got a network of other recruiters who run their own businesses in other parts of the world as part of a global network as well, which is why I can be truly global, even though I'm based personally in the UK. I've got people who can find candidates, who can interview them for me. And I guess finally, because my business is my reputation. It's all about me. I'm not part of a big company and I'll move to somewhere else. This is me. So you get me, and I'm personally responsible to any client or candidate that I work with. And I think that's important as well.
Yeah, I think that is so important. And what I love about personally when I've been building businesses and when I was in a much larger corporate type career is headhunters value both the candidate and the client. you know, you treat them both with so much respect. And I certainly see that in the way that, you know, your values, and therefore you tend to get, you've now got a pool of people that, whether they've gone through their career asking you for help to support their career, and they've come to you saying, have you got any positions available for me? Or whether or not you're working with these long-term relationships in large companies and small companies, the time saving in terms of your ability to interview and select is massive, but also the fact that you create a lot of goodwill in the market. And that's what I really hear about you in the market, that I love, and that trust and that belief in you as a person, as it speaks volumes about you, I think, Dave.
Thank you.
Yeah. So it's been fantastic learning about it. I mean, recruitment is an art. It's a skill. It's not something that I think anybody can just do. And certainly small businesses, I know they think they're going to save money by trying not to do it this way, but the time and the mistakes that you hear of, it's been a real pleasure being able to talk about this with you.
I mean, I think a lot of companies, they do have big internal recruitment teams, and they do a job very effectively in some ways. But to find somebody very specific who fits for your business, I mean, basically, if you're a business owner, or if you're a sales director, or a VP of marketing, or whatever you are, you don't have the time or the expertise to do it effectively yourself. To search the market, grab their attention, sell your credentials effectively, negotiate the deal, keep them warm, deal with the counter offers with their current employers, and manage the whole process. So it's a lot more than just being able to locate people and have a conversation with them. You know, it's an ongoing process, and also give feedback. And I also think, as you mentioned, feedback for candidates is very important, extremely important.
It is, because there is their brand. If they treat a candidate badly, they damage their brand in the market with that person and the people they tell.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think that loop back mechanism is so critical, because it's a really emotional thing when a candidate takes up their time to research a business and go through the trouble of going for an interview. And in a market where it's hard to find the right people, you've got to treat those candidates very well. So I think that's a very powerful point you make there. Well,
but also, I think it's important that I never lose the fact that I'm dealing with people's lives, people's futures, you know, how they can develop their careers, how they can, you know, feed their families, how they can, you know, really develop something that they haven't got at the moment. And, you know, really, and because, you know, the career path they go on affects them dramatically. So, and again, I think that's important, that you need to understand that they're not just a number. They're not just, you know, somebody you want to put in for an interview. They're people who you can really change their lives dramatically. I think that's, you know, that's what makes it exciting, I think, for me.
So if there's somebody who's wanting to globally, you know, get somebody to help them find the right person for them, whether they're nationally in the UK or globally, to help them grow their business, or if they're a candidate, what's the best way for people to get in touch with you, Dave?
Well, they can get in touch with me by email, dave@blackstarsearch.com. They can do it by WhatsApp. They can do it by my mobile. They can do it by my they can do it by any number of ways. They can do it on social media. Certainly, I'm on LinkedIn if they want to find me there. So yeah, I'm available. I'm out there, and very happy to help if I can. But again, there are people that I can't help because they're not doing. So I deal particularly with either senior people or commercial people. I don't deal with IT people and you know, HR people or finance people in drinks companies. So it, you know, that's not my area of expertise. I think you do need to have an area of expertise, a niche, if you like. I know your daughter Hannah is very into niching, and she's taught me a lot about it, and I think that's true. So I'm not a be all and end all, but I am very specific. So people who are looking to improve their career or looking to hire good people, you can certainly get in touch with me.
Brilliant. And you, Dave Hillman or David Hillman on LinkedIn?
David Hillman.
David Hillman, because I know I've been calling you Dave all the way through.
Yeah, call me Dave or David, that's fine. I answer the
Just
both.
want to make sure they can find it, and probably will, when we edit this and we have this as a video, I'm sure there'll be a strap thing going along for people to be able to get in touch with you as well. Dave, it's been wonderful talking to you and having this opportunity. Thank you very much. Now, as a final indulgent moment for me, one of the things, I built the Academy, how much I support entrepreneurs, my own massive journey through that world. And now I'm working with 24 entrepreneurs a year on the mastermind group. And you took a big leap of faith in me, Dave. And I remember the call with you, and I remember the big feeling of joy when you said you would join my mastermind. It was, honestly, you really gave me a lot of confidence and value in myself when you made that decision. And when you've got people like yourself that are so experienced in business and, I don't know, strong people, strong family around you and all these things, what made you decide, and how is the mastermind going for you?
I think it's strange that, as we've already mentioned, I've known you and Thomas for 15 years, and as often happens, you lose touch with people. But I found your book online and decided to read it, and I thought it was fantastic. So I wanted to get back in touch. At that stage, I didn't know anything about mastermind or anything, but it was, I think you sold me a proposition. When I say sold a proposition, really you talked to me about proposition, which I thought really appealed to me, about learning, about personal growth, about self-development and being. And one of the things that was key for me is being made accountable and a feeling that I wasn't reaching my potential. And that being in a room with 12 other experts in different industries, as mentors and subject matter experts who come in to educate us, has been absolutely fascinating. And it's been huge for me, because I think you do tend to often, as business owners, get wrapped up in your own business in the recruitment industry. And I know a lot of other people in the recruitment industry, and we all have similar things that we talk about. But being part of this mentoring group, this mastermind group, has been totally different and has been extraordinary. And after 6 months, I've got to say, it's I can't wait for our monthly meetings and all of the interaction that goes on in between.
Yeah.
I guess the big thing that I really didn't expect at all, I mean, I did expect that I would get value for money, and I did expect that I'd get personal growth and all that, because I trusted you and Thomas, quite rightly, because I've known you for a long, long time. There's a lot of people that you know for a long, long time. But what I didn't expect was a group of new friends, almost family in some way, that are always here for each other. And you and Thomas have developed that in 6 months. And it's great. I mean, we all get on well together, and there was a certain skill in being able to put people together in that way. And that for me was fantastic. So, and I still love it.
I love you being in it. I love it. And I love the way you've reflected on it just then, because it really is, when I went through my journey of sort of stepping back, I was 2 times an entrepreneur with businesses, and then was trying to get another business off the ground. And then I stepped back. I really thought, what is the life I want to lead? My kids are grown up. I haven't got the dependence, a feeling of, oh God, I've just got to do this because it feeds the family, just a time when I could say, who do I want to spend time with? What are my true skills? What are my passions? And developing this, and Thomas and I have never been happier. And, it's down to you and the other masterminds. You've just really brought a big thing into our lives. It's beautiful, and I really appreciate it. It's lovely to hear that feedback from you. So thank you very much, Dave. And
well, likewise, as I think you've heard from all of the mastermind participants as well. So thank you.
Yeah, well, it's great. And thank you for this fantastic interview. And I've really, really enjoyed it, because obviously recruitment is not something I'm skilled in, but listening to you and hearing the way you're passionate about this and the knowledge you have about your sector and your niche has been real joy. So thank you so much, Dave. Have a fantastic day.
You as well. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.